There's a hackathon coming up this weekend, so I'll probably make a video on that. Before this, I participated in about 4 others, all of which I lost. I had to win this hackathon. With each step, my resolve grew deeper, my hunger stronger. I just had to win. Now, this hackathon was 36 hours, extending from Friday night to Sunday morning. So, when I first got to university, I went to my class and, didn't pay attention. See, in my head, one thing kept on playing and playing. I had to win this hackathon. Before this, I'd participated in about 4 others, all of which I lost. So in that class, I sat there staring blankly at the professor, not really hearing a word he said, because deep in my mind, the thought kept echoing, slowly creeping, slowly becoming louder. It was undeniable that my hunger for the win was high, but this wasn't anything new. After all, it's not like I wanted to lose before either. Then, the opening ceremony came. The team organizing the event started presenting. Now, I'm listening to them blabber on and on about some stupid stuff like systemic bias or something, and I'm not gonna lie, my brain completely checked out on the word systemic. They're talking about how bias shows up in ways we don't even notice, how it affects minorities, how silence and noise play a role in all of it, and yeah, in my head I'm just thinking, yeah, okay, cool, when do we code? Oh, wait, systemic bias is actually the prompt? Suddenly, I love fighting bias. Yep, big fan, always have been. And my favorite group of people to dramatically care about? Deaf ones. Because when you really think about it, the entire world is built around sound. Talking, listening, speaking up. So, out of the pure goodness of my heart, and definitely not because I wanted to impress the judges, my team and I were going to build something revolutionary. Something so out of the box that the judges would have their jaws on the floor during the presentation. Oh, and yeah, it would also help deaf people, I guess, I don't know. I was going to build a live ASL translator on the web using computer vision in a 36-hour hackathon with basically no prior experience. Now, the day before, I had slept at like 12 a.m., but I was locked in. I got up at 3 a.m. ready to dominate. Now, in order for me to get a machine learning model running on my hands, I had to actually figure out how the computer was going to see my hand in the first place. And that's when I found Google MediaPipe. Apparently, Google already had a neural net model that could detect your hands and put these things called landmarks on each finger or joint, I guess. And then I could collect the coordinate data of all those landmarks. This was it. This was exactly what I needed to get the data to train my model. I installed the library, found some example code, and I continued forward anyway, scouring the internet for other code material because everybody that's a fan of this channel knows Google's documentation is dog shit. I finally found this GitHub repo, but when I tried to run it locally, I got cooked. Apparently, according to the error logs, most of my Python packages were getting mixed up because of the big dog, NumPy. This library is the everything library for Python. Math, you got it. Machine learning, you got it. Unnecessarily complicating your life? You got it. So of course, every package and its mother depends on NumPy. But that's where the problem comes in. See, not all packages stay updated. Big ones like TensorFlow usually are, but others not so much. So some of my libraries were working on the latest version of NumPy, and some of them were working on ancient Egypt's version of NumPy. So, in order for everything to work, I had to sit there and manually reinstall NumPy like a billion times until I finally found the right version. Okay, MediaPipe is working. Ooh, look at that hand. It's so beautiful. Anyway, by now it was about 5 a.m. and I wanted some food. Now, I could have just gone upstairs, grabbed some breakfast, and come down, and then get back to being productive. Nah. Instead, I decided to commute 2 hours to university just to get the free breakfast they provided. Man, I'm a genius. I walked outside, in the freezing cold, teeth chattering, wind blowing. With each step, my resolve grew deeper, my hunger stronger. I just had to win. There was no other thought in my mind. After all, what is effort useful for but the outcome? What is the process worth if you get no result? During the bus ride, I played sad music to get myself in the mood. I wasn't a CS student having fun at a hackathon, no. I was a general about to enter a war. A tragic hero that even Theseus himself could not rival. Anyway, I got my breakfast and started coding again. First, I set up the keybind so it could finally capture the data points into this file, keypoints.csv. It would log a label corresponding to the hand position and then the XY coordinates of the 21 landmarks. Once that was set up, I recorded a small sample, about 50 positions, for the numbers 1, 2, and 3. Now, I just needed to make a machine learning model that could take these landmarks and classify them correctly. Now, you have to understand, never before had I interacted with a dataset with these many features. Never before had I even deployed a model this big. How was I gonna... Oh, wait. There's a pre-built classifier already in here. Don't mind if I do. The classifier ran at a whopping 80% accuracy, so, hooray. I exported the model as a .keras file, swapped it into the existing setup, and... Oh my god. It works. Since that was done, I could now work on the front end. Wait, but Isam, didn't you only make a dataset of 50 samples for 3 characters? Shut up, nerd. Did you really think I would waste my time doing something so stupid and ridiculous? No! Instead, I had 2 of my minions, I guess you could call them teammates, create the dataset in parallel while I worked on the front end. So, by the end, when I was finishing up my front end, we had around 7,000 samples of data, and one of my friends had carpal tunnel, but that's besides the point. Now, if we rewind back, the front end was quite literally destroying me. See, remember how the prompt was about mitigating bias? Yeah, don't worry, I forgot too. But I figured that in a morally based hackathon, I could score some soft points if I at least, pretended to care. So I decided this ASL translator would run completely on the user's machine. No backend API, no camera data being sent anywhere. I could even deploy it and let the judges use it through a QR code during the presentation. Cool idea, horrible plan. The front end fought me every step of the way. Errors I didn't understand, dependencies breaking for no reason, media pipe randomly refusing to cooperate. And then the worst offender came to play. The TensorFlow model. See, I exported the model as a .keras file, but how do you actually use that in the browser? Eventually, after hunting and working, it worked. It looked like trash, but it worked. And I felt unstoppable. At this point, I thought we had it. We split the work efficiently, 1 person on the pitch, 1 person on speech to sign language, me on sign to text, and then of course 1 dude just doom scrolling. This was going to be a piece of cake. A win felt inevitable. Until I started training the final model, that is. See, now that I had the 7,000 dataset samples, I decided to run the classifier again, and would you take a look at that? 60% accuracy. Running that on the front end, yeah, it's dog shit, okay? We don't want this. So I started making the final model again. I tweaked it a bit, still 60%. Try it again, still 60%. So I decided, you know what? We're going to completely scratch this up. We're going to start a new file. I'm going to make a model completely on my own. I changed architectures, activation functions, retrained again and again, threw shit at the wall, and hope it stuck. And finally, we got 94%. It is now 5 p.m. My eyes are drooping, but I finally coded the front end to look good. So at this point, I'm done with all my work. I grab one last croissant and head home. My head's buzzing. I'm exhausted and for once, doubtful. What if I do lose? What if it happens again? What if I'm just not meant to win? The bus stops near my house. I get off. I walk home in a daze. It's now 7 p.m. It takes me until 8:30 to figure out the deployment. I communicate with my group, and it seems the speech to sign is also almost done. We're going to ship. We had a full presentation, a full pitch, a fully working machine learning model that would run on your phone's browser. I should have been proud of what we'd accomplished, of what I had done. But something lay heavy on my heart. The same boorish thought. What if I lose? I woke up scrambling. I had promised to deploy the backend by 4 a.m. It was 5:30. I threw on clothes, brushed my teeth halfway, sprinted out the door, and then on the bus, I tried deploying. Build failed. Memory limit exceeded. Apparently Render's free tier just couldn't handle my fast API backend. My stomach sank. At university, everyone else looked relaxed, laughing, enjoying. I felt numb. Presentation time came, and honestly, we killed it. The pitch was solid, the demo worked, judges were having banter with me, but throughout it all, the whispers just kept on coming back. What if it's all for nothing? After the judging completed, we waited outside in the lounge, waiting for the judges to come back with a verdict. The hosts step outside, grab the podium, determined to announce. I sit there, breath bated, waiting for them to say our name. They slowly announced the winners one by one, and we weren't one of them. I didn't know what to feel. Part of me expected it, part of me tried to rationalize it, and part of me was angry about it. But mostly, I just felt hollow. I laughed it off with my friends. Next time, we said. But walking back alone, I couldn't shake the thought. Why does this matter so much to me? I had built something real, learned something genuinely difficult, pushed myself harder than I had before. And yet, none of that felt like it mattered without the win. But maybe that's the problem. Maybe somewhere along the way, I stopped enjoying the process and started measuring my worth by outcomes alone. I still don't know if I'll ever win one of these. But I do know this. I'm not done trying.